going on, Jerome's Beautiful Friday. We are back in the friendly confines. It's time for another Vikings news dump because it is Friday. Birds are chirping and stuff. So, at an undisclosed location, went to the musical Wicked. Now, I'm not a musical person, but I always respect people who do things at the highest level, especially of artistry. They were so damn good. The lady who played the Green Witch was phenomenal. Like, absolutely rock star. Just all the talent, all the work that goes into it. Ton of respect. I can see why people love this. Maybe I'll just be a musical person now because I had a ton of fun, right? And full disclosure, I did not know that this was a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. And I know like pieces of the plot of The Wizard of Oz from being a kid and stuff, and I know that things were going on. For like the first 25-30 minutes, I didn't know what was going on. Like, why are they being mean to this green child? I actually thought that it was like a sequel to Wizard of Oz, so I don't know. But either way, like the songs were fantastic, and it's awesome just seeing tier 1 talent just get after things. It's fantastic, man. Also fantastic, and also tier 1 is Kevin O'Connell, So Kevin O'Connell, I know that sometimes we nitpick Kevin O'Connell. A lot of fans do as well, but there's no one better for the job. And he has grown and shown as a head coach, as a play caller. Is he perfect all the time? No, which is impossible. But he gets better every single week, every single year. And he gets the baseline humanitarian stuff, right? He gets along with his players. He trusts his coaches. He pushes his coaches. Did you notice that on Wednesdays, is it Wednesdays or Tuesdays, that all three coordinators have a press conference with the media? That's not common, right? And O'Connell's talked about he wants all of his coordinators to either get a head coaching job or get another head coaching job, in the case of Flores. And, talking with the media and conveying things like that is a part of it, right? And long story longer, so a little video's gone viral, the post game, since Kevin O'Connell was mic'd up for the Colts game, and he was talking with Anthony Richardson after the game. Richardson obviously had been benched for jumping Joe Flacco for the rest of the season, and Richardson in year 2, he came in as a highly developmental prospect, and the coaching staff is not allowing him to develop. But talking with him in a private moment, you're a bad dude. You're going to play a long time in this league, and talked about how his coaches still believe in him. Everyone believes him. The organization loves him. And he didn't need to do that, right? But it is so freaking awesome. And I know people say, like, well, he's doing it because he's mic'd up. No, like, he does this all the time. You see him post-game. Like, he talks to several players of the opposing team, several coaches, and everything. Like, Kevin O'Connell's obviously, like, very upbeat and is a player's coach, and I just think that he gets the humanitarian part of being a coach so good, and that's why players want to run through a wall from him. That's why JJ McCarthy, just meeting Kevin O'Connell for the first time at the combine, the interview, that's why at the end of it, McCarthy said, "I'm ready to run through a wall for Kevin frickin' O'Connell," right? Because he just gets it. And love that we have O'Connell here. Also, hey, Anthony Richardson, future backup quarterback for JJ McCarthy. Not saying, I'm just saying. Long story longer as well, Mike Sando over at The Athletic has Kevin O'Connell still down as his coach of the year. Now, there's going to be a lot of other worthy names as well, but depending on how things shake out with Kevin O'Connell, it's always about, it's never about who has the best team. It's about who does the most with the least. And I think a large part of it is people seeing him doing things with Sam Darnold, and the Vikings were projected to have 6.5 wins, and yada yada. This is what Sando wrote. Kevin O'Connell, midseason choice for coach of the year. Andy Reid and Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coaches of this century. Andy Reid, last one coach of the year in 2002, which Matt Nagy, a.k.a. fake-ass Brad Childress, has won coach of the year more recently than Andy Reid, who's won 3 Super Bowls. His team has 8-0 record this season, as winning a different formula, but we were so conditioned to his success and the resourcefulness of Patrick Mahomes that Reid's name scarcely ever even arises for the award. He might be above it. Belichick was a 3-time winner from 2003 to 2010, but never thereafter. I think part of it was Spygate and Deflategate, but we tend to focus on coaches perceived to be doing more with less in a given season. I just said that. Yeah. O'Connell fits that profile. He's my choice because the Vikings have nearly matched their preseason Vegas win total after losing their starting quarterback to a season-ending injury during preseason. Was he starting though? But I understand the sentiment. The sortable table below shows blah 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 table. So Kevin O'Connell, coach of the year choice. I agree. And now let's finish strong and get after it. Speaking of finishing strong, so the Vikings are probably going to have their starting defense healthy for the first time in forever, which is great. Oh, speaking of musicals. But Ivan Pace Jr. returned to practice in limited capacity. Blake Cash was limited the last 2 days. So it looks like Tango and Cash, which I'm still standing on business for that nickname. Like, I feel like Tango is a great nickname for Ivan Pace Jr. and Cash is obviously Cash Man. Yeah. But the Vikings, the middle of the Vikings defense has been in a bit of flux, and it's actually been limited this season when Pace, who's missed a couple games, and also Cashman, who's missed the last 3 games, have been on the field together. But it's special, man, and it's something that you want them both to be healthy late into the season and into the postseason, because that defense is completely different when Pace and Cashman are both in there at full strength. Also, speaking of the NFL trade deadline, which is not a segment, so the Vikings, they weren't in on Marshawn Lattimore, they weren't in on J.C. Horn, but they did kick the tires reportedly on another cornerback. Vikes fan page, the Vikings had some interest in cornerback Tre'Davious White prior to the deadline. Darren Dugan-Wolfson mentioned on Score North, the Rams eventually traded White, Mr. White, and a 2027 7th-round pick to the Ravens for a 2026 7th-rounder. So basically, late round pick swappy swap, right? And Trey White, former first round pick by the Bills out of LSU, would have continued the whole Skull LSU thing. And he's got talent. He's dealt with injuries and it just hasn't quite worked out. But of course, Kwesi loves the medical guys. Kwesi loves the formerly high drafted guys. Mama, I can change him. I thought that would have been a good one, but didn't work out. Is what it is. Yeah. Also, speaking of Skull LSU, Justin friggin' Jefferson, I feel like they twist the filters and all this stuff, and Jefferson is obviously breaking all these records, which is great, but I mean, he's going to break them. 33rd team. Justin Jefferson is 103 receiving yards away, which he'll get in the first quarter against the Jaguars, from breaking the record for the most in a player's first 5 seasons. Torrey Holt, 67-84, did in 80 games, but which, by the way, I feel like is not talked about enough. Like, Torrey Holt was a major part of that greatest show on turf offense, man. Justin Jefferson has played 68. So Sunday, beep, bop, 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 boop, will be Justin Jefferson's 69th game in the National Football League. Nice. Only 67 starts, though, because Zimmer decided, like, hey, Justin Jefferson's got to earn a stripe, so BC Johnson's going to start the first 2 games. Yeah, okay. Okay. And all of these, all the stats and all the records that he's breaking through 5 seasons, I mean, he basically missed half the year last season. So that's even more impressive, and he's just going to continue to grow and show. And speaking of Skull SU, the third Skull SU in a row, Ed Ingram was interviewed by the Media Jackals, and people are questioning what is going on with him. And Ingram, he's dominant in the run game, and Kevin O'Connell has talked about that as well. Tough physical up front sets the tone, but pass protection, and the more I rewatch, it's not just one-on-one, like, can't do it. Like, physically, he can do it, right? And we've talked about before that what's weird is that at LSU, he primarily played left guard his last couple seasons with the Tigers, but he was a better pass blocker than run blocker, and it's completely flipped. So I don't know, but asked about how he's doing, quote, I feel like I'm playing at a pretty high level. I feel like I'm doing my job, end quote. And he has said similar things before, which is good. I mean, you don't want a guy who's struggled in spots to be like, I'm bad. And not bad as in good, bad as in terrible. But it does sound like they are going to roll with Ed Ingram, even with Reisner back healthy, but you do have that insurance policy in your back pocket, so we'll see what happens. And frankly, if Ed Ingram does improve his play, which he played a relatively clean game against the Colts, aside from stepping on Bradbury when he got lit up, but it's kind of funny. Like, Blake Brandel started out of the gates really hot, but he gave up. He was dinged with 3 sacks against the Colts. DeForest Buckner, man. I don't know. Something I do know is the Vikings' playoff chances. So Pro Football Focus's power rankings, which I forgot we didn't do power rankings. We'll have to fix that. But the Vikings clock in right now and number 7 in the league in terms of average projected wins at 11.1, which 11-6, which given the 6-2 situation wouldn't be the worst, but also I feel like at this point the Vikings certainly could do better, especially if they sweep the next 4 games. So essentially, if they sweep the next 4 games, which is what we talked about, at Jaguars, at Titans, at Bears, Cardinals, at 10-2, if you end up 11-6 after starting out 10-2, that's really disappointing. So it could be raised expectations, and per the PFF analytics, Vikings 77% to win the division, 17% to win. 77% to make the playoffs, 17% to win the division, 8% to win the conference, 4% to win the Super Bowl. Now, the 17% is low because obviously the Lions are a freight trade right now, and we've gone through the schedule. Like, the Lions need to slip up a time or two, and the Vikings got to keep playing really good football. And if that works out, that's how it's going to work out. Right, and also the Lions have a 74% chance to win the division. So beep, bop, bop, boop, boop. The remaining Packers at 8%. I think the Bears probably at 1% because crazy things happen. Right, also crazy. So the Ravens got to win on Thursday night over the Bengals in a controversial game. Is there any other kind? Right, but they debuted their purple rising uniforms, which I don't know, like. J.J. Watt pointed out that they look like a Crown Royal bag, which is kind of fair, but they just want to be us so much. Like, purple and gold, purple and gold. Just say, hey, Ravens, come on, man. Right? Ain't nothing like the real thing, baby. That's right. But that is it. Vikings news done for this beautiful Friday. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skol, production value.